Hi everyone and welcome back to Coachy TV. In this video we're going to break down probably my favorite race that I've ever seen in my 6 years coaching high school. It's Tre Rivers when he went 4:19 in the mile this previous year at our Wharton Invitational. So let's get right into it. I am Kyle Giacono. I'm the head boys cross country and track coach at Wharton High School in Tampa, Florida, and I have been for the last 6 years. If you want a closer look at my credentials, they're on the screen. So let's get right into Tre as we enter this race here. So as I mentioned, this is our home invitational meet, and it was held on the last February of 2019. Tre was the number 3 seed based on career best times in this 1600 meter or this mile. The week before, Tre opened up the season running 9:29.96 in the 2 mile, and he was scheduled to run the 800 later this evening. Tre is a 2 mile kid moving down. He likes the distance. He's one that we really work more on the aerobic side and get the anaerobic side whenever we can. So as you notice it as he runs this, he's going to have a very even race approach as he goes through this, as you see him as a 2 mile kid. His mile PR entering this race is 4:25.39, and that was from the year before at our regional meet when he was a regional champion. I actually did a race breakdown of that. It's also a very impressive race. If you want to look at that, it's also in the description down below. And his other PRs to this point, his 2 mile is 9:25.77, his 800 is 1:58.94, and his 400 is 53.32, and his cross-country 5K is 15:45. So let's take a look at the race itself. I do apologize a little bit. The the video quality of this on the backside, the sun's a little bit in your eyes, especially on lap 2 and 3, but you can really get a sense of how this is building as we get into it. So Tre is over here inside lane 1. The other really heavy hitting runners in this, I'll point out to you as we get into it. But basically, Reed Legg from Citrus Park Christian, as well as Jake Turner from Armwood are the top 3 kids, and Tre is seated 3rd behind those 2. So let's get into it. So very quick start here. Jake Turner from Armwood is taking the early lead. Tre is in 2nd, and there's going to be a pack of about maybe 5 kids that sort of separate here pretty quickly. This is a really fast race overall. It ended up being that 5 of the top 7 times in the state of Florida at this point in the season. It was very early in the season. It came out of this race itself, so a very quality race here that we're going to be breaking down. And as they come around, and I'm going to pause it briefly just to point out these top kids that I was mentioning. So this is Jake Turner from Armwood right here. Tre is right here, sort of on the inside, and then Reed Legg from Citrus Park Christian is right here. So those are the top 3 runners in this race based on career PRs. So not necessarily a super fast first lap, which really plays to Tre's advantage as a 2 mile. It only came through at about 66 seconds, which is obviously no slouch of a pace, but a lot of times you'll see that first lap go out at 63, 62. So even though there was a lot of heavy talent in this, these young men really did go out at a pace that allowed them to have a PR as they got into it. As I mentioned, we have a separation here of 5 kids. Jake Turner from Armwood is still leading. Tre is in 2nd place. You're going to see Reed Legg from Citrus Park Christian really start to make a move here at about 1,000 meters to go and take the lead that he's going to hold on for the middle of this race. So now the top 3, based on careers, are the top 3 in this race. Reed, Jake, and Tre. So Tre has really maintained his form. He's really maintained his turnover, really maintained his overall intensity, again, which kind of is playing to his advantage. Nobody's really sprinted out. Reed is trying to push the pace a little bit here, but Tre comes through this 2nd lap in 66 seconds, just like the first lap was. So it's really kind of playing to his strength as an aerobic monster here, a 2 miler moving down. If he had to go really fast early, this may not have been as good of a race for Tre. Now, since Tre has been conservative, he knows that the second half of the race is the most important part in any aerobic race. So he does start to make a little move here to try and tuck in behind Reed, making a pass on Jake at about 650, 600 meters to go, and tucks into second place. You see there is a separation from the field, from these top three really, really solid quality runners. Again, you can almost screen capture this and put it in, and there's really been no increased turnover from Tre. He is starting to move on Reed, but that's simply because he hasn't really done too much early on, because Tre comes through lap number 3 at basically 66 seconds. He has held form. And it's right when they come off the top of this turn, he made that move to be in position early on the turn. We do like to do that with our runners so that they're not having to pass on the turn. And as soon as he comes off this turn, when the straightaway is there and it's easier for his opponents to try and pass him, he really starts to turn it over from about maybe 300, 250, and he just locks in and just goes. And he had all this left in the tank because he was only going those 66 is certainly not a walking pace, but it's certainly not super fast. And you'll notice right around the 150 part, he really does lock in and just hit another gear as Jake Turner tries to really make a close on him, but Tre just has a little bit more turnover, a little bit left in the tank because of what he did early on. Just such a smart tactical race here from Tre. Takes a little step out to the right, locks in his position, look at the turnover, the knee lift, the arm mechanics, and he comes through at 4:19, just in front of Jake at 4:20, and Reed comes through in under 4:25. So let's just take a look at the overall race itself. So, the race breakdown, again, quality race. There were 5 boys under 4:30. Actually, it was the 5th place runner was 4:28, so a very solid race overall. And it was conservative on the first 300, even though there was a little bit of jockeying for position. Jake went out a little bit early. Reed took over at about 1,000. It never really got Tre out of his race mechanics as a 2-miler. Tre was really content to let others set the pace, and I think that's why this was just such a quality race from him. He had a lot left in the tank, and just a really smart tactical race from Tre. Just really high racing IQ on display here. He began to move up with about 600 meters to go. Made that pass around Jake Turner into second place and tucked in behind Reed and took over the lead position before the last 400 started. Came off that turn and just went all out from 300 meters. He just had that little extra burst at 150 to hold off Jake, who's just a fantastic runner in his own right. Just showing his overall turnover that he had a little bit more. And again, we don't do a lot of anaerobic glycolytic work in my program. I think that most of where you're going to get your real top-end distance running comes from the aerobic work that you're doing. So that was really just shows his natural 150 burst that he has overall. So the race breakdown, he was 4:19.64. He was first place. And if you look at his lap splits, like I said, he's a 2-miler who's moving down in this race, and he pretty much even split this thing, 66, 66, 66, 61. Even with all these quality people, Tre really never got out of his strategy of let's just do what we do, play to our strengths, hold even. If nobody's going to go out and really sprint out hard early on, let's just play to our strengths and drop a 61 on that last lap. So really smart tactical race from Tre. He's really my favorite racer that we've ever had come through the program. He's had a lot of quality races that set up just like this. As I mentioned, he won a regional meet at 4:25 in a very similar type of meet the year before, and that race breakdown is in the description down below if you want to take a look at it. I also put in the description down below from Tre when he was second in our region in the 2-mile when he went 9:25 the year before. And very similar thing where he knows his strengths, he knows his weaknesses, and he knows what he's capable of. And he really just goes out there and he doesn't get too ahead of himself, and that's when he really has the most success. So really shows you what you can do if you do know yourself as a runner and a racer, and don't get too charged up by the fact that this was, like I said, a very quality race. He was third coming in, 5 boys under 4:30. There was another kid at 4:32. We had, again, the top 5 of the top 7 or 8 performances in the state of Florida at that point to come from this race. So just never got ahead of himself. So great race strategy by Tre. So if you like this video, maybe think about liking or subscribing. If you have a question, ask it in the description down below. And until next time, this has been Coachy TV.